Welcome to the Veterans Cafe podcast.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Wes. And welcome to another episode of the Veterans Cafe podcast.
I have to point out, I know you can't see it, but look how perfectly level these wine glasses are right here.
I think yours actually has more in it.
Perfectly level. I mean, you know, I wasn't
an
engineer.
I think you gave yourself like an extra inch of wine in your glass.
I was an engineer. No, you're incorrect. Anyway.
An Army engineer. They look at levels a different way.
That's a good point. So, with this episode, we just wanted to just briefly talk about what it's been like for us to be separated as a married couple. You know, of course, my husband was deployed, and I just go on short missions so far, and I'm headed for another one, and we just thought it was worth mentioning it. So, I don't know. I love Hollywood, and it's mostly just like entertainment, and there's a couple of actresses and actors that I follow. I even have like Google alerts. I mean, I follow.
And you're like, oh, I just kind of like Hollywood. And you have Google alerts coming to you probably on like a daily basis. Like you probably don't even have it clicked or it says relevant news only, because then you might miss something.
No,
right?
I have. It's just clicked onto all updates. I know. I do, of course. I'm a much bigger fan of world news than I am with local news, like on a serious note. But I do love Hollywood, and it's mostly just like a big entertaining soap opera to me, and they all have great outfits on and beautiful houses, and it's just fun. But I read today, I don't know, maybe yesterday, I read that one of the actresses that I follow and I'm completely obsessed with is Angelina Jolie. And I read that, because it's most likely probably not true, but I thought it was worth mentioning it, because I kind of like the idea behind it. I read that one of the reasons that they're, so successful in their marriage, which is like a long time, especially in Hollywood now, I think it's like 10 years, is because they follow this like 5-2 rule. And I mentioned it to my husband, and he was like, what? But it kind of makes sense. Supposedly, they see each other, and they spend time together for 5 days, and then they have 2 days off, and then the cycle continues. And it's not necessarily like a Monday through Friday thing. They're both busy, and they travel and stuff. So if they end up spending 5 days together, that's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we need to have 2 days off. And supposedly, they do that because, it keeps their marriage fresh, and it keeps them just appreciating the other, when they're gone. So, absence makes the heart go fonder, I think, is kind of the idea behind that. So I just thought it was interesting.
But, the thing that's really interesting about it is that they actually probably have a house that's big enough that they could not see each other for 2 days.
I'm pretty sure they have
They
several.
could literally stay at home together and never see each other. Whereas us, you can hear everything I do in here.
Yeah, it's a nice 2-bedroom apartment, but yeah. I pretty much always know where you are. And if I don't know where you are, the dogs know where you are.
See? Big brother. One way or another, they're going to track you down.
Like that handcuff on your finger?
Yeah. Yeah, she just recently bought me another one, like this fancy silicone one, right? So that we don't scratch up our actual rings and everything when we work out. I'm sure it's got some kind of implant, some... Oh,
GPS.
No, you know what? You know what?
GPS.
Forget all that. You know what happened? She talked me into, she was like, oh, this app, it's so neat. And we downloaded it, and it's called, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, it's called Life 360, right? So she talked me into downloading this app, and this is how she pitched it. She was like, yeah, because, it tells you, like when you're going past, like, the grocery store, if we, like, needed milk, I'd know you were passing the grocery store, so then I could say, hey, we need milk. But in actuality, she can open this app, and it tells her exactly where I'm at all times. Like, it tracks my GPS. She can open it up. It shows basically a Google map. And she can say, hey, and you know what? Every day I go to work. If I leave work to go get a lunch, I suddenly get a phone call. So I'm being tracked at all times.
Well, so am I. I went on that 6-mile run the other day, and you were like, oh, yeah, I was kind of following your progress, running a little slow there.
I did not say that. That is a load.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, I think this app is convenient. It's kind of fun. It has like different features to it, and I don't know, it's just a fun thing. Anyway,
it's the exact opposite of the Angelina Jolie thing she was just talking about.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so I kind of thought the idea of the 5-2 was interesting. I'm not saying that I'm for it or against it. I just thought it was interesting, and both of us, being in the Army and, of course, being soldiers and being married, I think that some of the deployments and some of the missions and some of just even like the long drill weekends, I think it's one of those things that can be helpful. Of course, it could be negative, and I think it's just, on your outlook, and I don't know. It's kind of nice sometimes just to have a little bit of a break, I would assume, on both of our parts.
Yeah, I don't think that it's ever been like a negative thing for either of us. The time we spend apart, of course, we like miss each other, but we talk every day anyways,
Yeah.
We call each other, text or whatever. But I don't think it's ever been negative for either of us, and of course when we do come home and get back together, we we make like a special thing out of it and we spend time together. And But she's right. It's also good to, for us both to have our own like alone time at home and just kind of doing whatever you want to do to unwind. I kind of sit around here and tinker and play on the internet and all that. And my wife gets deeply involved in some Netflix show or whatever she feels like doing. So I think it's definitely healthy for both of us.
Definitely. My mom calls those days when you just like, you have the day off from work or, school or whatever. And she calls those days where you just kind of like, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you have your coffee, and you stay in your pajamas all day. She calls those mental health days. And I don't know, I think those are incredibly important. And I think when I'm away or my husband's away on a, various Army mission, I think we definitely get to have mental health days. I think that's important.
Yeah, I probably have way too many mental health days actually when she's gone, because I become, I don't know, sometimes I get like incredibly bored, so I just start finding things to do, and that's the only reason the apartment stays clean is just purely out of boredom. Like, I got a little energy, I need to get up and do something, and I'm bored. Yeah, I'll vacuum. But there definitely are days that, I could literally just sit around. If I'm not working, I could just literally sit around all day in my pajamas and watch.
Your husband pants.
Yeah, the husband uniform. And me and the pups will just sit around and watch history documentaries or some other nerdy something all day long.
I definitely, though, I mean, talking about like, everything is a, positive and a negative and pro and con. I don't know, when my husband was deployed, for the first time as a couple for us, he's been deployed 4 times, but this most recent deployment was our first time as a couple and being married. And there were a couple moments where I even joked with the commander's wife, just in passing one day, because we had this like Facebook page. It was actually pretty helpful, but and pretty fun, and we got to share photos and things like that. But anyway, I joked with her one day. I was like, I can't wait to see my husband and have an argument with him in person, because you just can't like have that kind of anger and passion on a smartphone. Like, I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to hit it really hard, and I don't know.
And it happened. Her wish came true. So
anyway,
marriage.
I don't know. I think we spend a lot of time together normally, and
but it's probably also inevitable that we would eventually have like some kind of argument or disagreement, because literally when I came home, we spent 2 or 3 months literally the entire time together, right, nonstop. Like, we never left each other's side.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually you're gonna get on each other's nerves over something, right?
It's usually something small. I don't know, but I think that's just kind of like a normal marriage thing. I don't know. Like, I know, but anyway, but the whole point of this podcast was supposed to be just, how we get through it. And I think one of the ways that we get through it is always, just sense of humor. I think it's important.
Yeah, and when we are apart, we do keep in touch. We of course stay in contact. It's not like she leaves for 2 weeks or I leave for 2 weeks and we just don't speak to each other the entire time, or we speak to each other one time or something like that. We stay in constant contact. We both, we still talk about what happened in our day, at the end of the day or whatever, or maybe the next morning. And we still have this kind of conversation. So it's not like we just become completely disconnected from one another or anything like that. So that's probably helpful too. And unfortunately, that's probably one of the big problems that soldiers tend to have when they do go somewhere, or especially when they deploy. It's really easy to become disconnected from everything back home. So a lot of them just kind of do. You know, I mean, of course, you have to consider everything that a soldier may be going through overseas and things like that. But they do become disconnected, and they sort of call home less and less. They write emails less and less, and all that, and until they just eventually, like, they're doing it maybe once a month or something. And of course, nothing positive is going to come out of that. So it's just definitely something for you to think about if you're a soldier, or if you're a family member. Talk to your spouse about that. That constant contact is what's going to help you reintegrate together whenever you do come home. So it's definitely just something to think about.
No, I agree. Consistency is incredibly important. I mean, there were certainly days and times of my husband's deployment where he couldn't reach out to me. And it was one of those things, though, I think, to his credit, he always said, obviously I can't go into detail, but there's going to be a time frame very soon where, you're not going to hear from me for a few hours or a few days or whatever. And I think knowing what to expect, like in a general broad range was very helpful for me.
Yeah, and it was helpful for me too, because if I actually talked to you about it before, it happened, because I would say, listen, I'm going to be traveling for maybe a day or two or a couple days or something like that. And of course, that's all the information I would give her. And, and that's the other thing. My wife's a soldier, so she's understanding with that. And if you're a family member, you have to be understanding with that as well. The fact that you're just not going to get all the details or all the information.
And to be honest, from like a female wife point of view, even though I am a soldier, I don't want to know some of those, like, I don't know. I don't want to know every detail. Anyway, I mean, there's like OPSEC and I shouldn't know, but I don't know. I just don't want to know. But
just letting her know, that, listen, there's just not going to be any contact for the next couple of days or something, made me feel more comfortable about how I'm going to be received when I do talk to her again, just going into like blackout mode. Of course, people are just going to assume, oh my God, what's going on? Something's happened. They may not even necessarily think that something happened to you, but most people that are connected to the military do understand that if something happens to anyone in your unit, then the whole blackout thing occurs, and you're not allowed to call home, even though you may not even know the person that something happened to them, so you just have to keep that in mind and do the best you possibly can to keep in touch with your family, and most specifically your spouse or significant other.
No, I agree. And then there's other little things that I think we've been very good at and doing, to, I don't know, I guess to just keep our marriage strong. Like, we celebrate our anniversary every 30 days. And I know quite a few people I have met through the years are like, oh, it's ridiculous. But I don't know. It's just one of those small things that for us that it just, I don't know. I think it just helps us focus, of continuing to work on things, whether we're deployed or not. I love that we do that.
So just keep those, so we do enjoy doing things like that. So just keep those small things in mind. The small things matter. They help. They make your relationship better. Whether it doesn't have to be a spouse or a significant other. It can be any family member. If you have a brother or sister, or, your parents, all that little stuff matters. So definitely just try and keep in contact with them as much as you can, because that's what helps you get through it. A lot of people say that separation, can bring people closer together, but just a complete blackout, I mean, this is not World War II anymore, or World War I. We don't live in the 1700s. We have instant communication in our hands. Wherever you go, I don't care where you go, you have the ability to get on the internet and Facebook message someone or send them an email
you could
or
even
whatever.
Say, hey, I mean,
literally. So, it's out there, and people know that.
And you can say things like, you could honestly even just say, everything's okay, talk to you soon. I mean, that alone is incredible. Right. So just keep that in, that's just a little thing we wanted to pitch out there, since we're going to be dealing with our own little separation anxiety here pretty soon. So definitely just keep that in mind. One last thing we wanted to do before we wrap this little podcast up is specifically all of you guys that have been out there downloading these episodes, listening to everything we had to say, laughing along with us, making fun of my wife in the 80s. And the fact that I can't enunciate and articulate counter column. Making fun of that. So thank you guys for taking the time and downloading the episodes and listening along with us, listening to what we have to say, our little tidbits, our little laughs, just our short little conversations, and
And like we've said over and over, we definitely want to get you guys involved. So email us the Max at vetscafe.com, or you can find our Facebook page, Veterans Cafe Podcast, and send us a message. Post all that kind of stuff. We definitely want to get you involved, and we definitely appreciate you taking the time to download the episodes, listening to everything that we say, and just being involved, even if you are just a listener.
No, I agree. And now it's time to go back to the wine glasses that are perfectly level. And thank you, everybody.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Veterans Cafe Podcast, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.